Okay, welcome back. Sorry I really didn't have a verbal outro there, but I will in every other video, basically. Anyway, here's the first level, and basically the rest of the basic controls tutorial. So, B to jump, press it twice to double jump, nothing much to say there. Here, you will encounter this type of door, where basically you just need to shake the nunchuck, and that unleashes a force push. These doors you have to push open. And overall, I think the controls are a bit, I'll say unique, but another way you could say it is odd, because normally in a game it's like plus to pause the game, and in this case it's not, it's 1 and 2. So by pressing 1 or 2 you pause the game, and here in the customize menu you can upgrade force, or like in the main menu that I showed in the last video, you can also customize lightsabers right from here. If you go to the help, basically it's just everything that you will ever learn throughout the entire game. Cheats that I mentioned in the last video, options again, quit, and level info tells you the level, where you are, and what items are found in there. So in this very first level, there are 4 holocrons, a back-to-tank, a color crystal, and a power crystal, and I will explain each of those individually as I find them. Although some of them are like blatantly obvious, but I will still go over them anyway.
Alert! Escape in progress.
Now here you learn force grip. Oh, and back to the control scheme real quick. Instead of like plus or minus, which actually rotates the camera, it's 1 and 2, and I just said that, I know, but I'm trying to get my point across. And C is look straight ahead. So in terms of like orientation and stuff, C is definitely the best button to have. Anyway, if you press and hold C and aim your Wii remote at the screen, you can pick up objects, and then shake the Wii remote to toss them. Or as an alternative, just force push it in. And by holding the Wii remote sideways, if you didn't catch it in the previous video when they explained it while I was talking, if you hold the Wii remote sideways, then that will let you block. I will often block in some of these earlier levels, but I tend to forget in the later levels, so, and that might be what kills me. Also, for the sake of the walkthrough, I will not be using any cheats, and I will be showing all blunders of mine, because this is meant to be a 100% perfect walkthrough, and although the walkthrough will be perfect, I am not. So, as proof of that, I will not really be editing anything out unless it's like really humiliating, and I won't be able to hear the end of it for days. Anyway, so that first holocron that we picked up back there, if you saw at the bottom, yes, I realize I'm way behind on some of these explanations, but this is my first time, so please bear with me. So basically they grant you XP, and I already kind of explained this in the last video, but they grant you XP, and over time they will unlock you concept art that I also showed you in the previous video. I showed you a few. Just scroll through them, rather. And by collecting all of them, you will unlock invulnerability. So, now that I'm thinking about it, I did mention that Nintendo, for this game, and a lot of others, focused on gameplay, and yet it's still fairly linear. There are some alternate paths that like deviate you off track for like an extra or two, but for the main part it's pretty linear. And that goes for every version of this game. Anyway, whenever you encounter one of these diamonds, all you have to do is use lightning, and if you forgot how to do that, it tells you on screen. But it's press and hold Z and then shake the nunchuck. Make sure you press and hold Z, otherwise you will be pointlessly force pushing away. Using all of your health, your force energy, excuse me. And both your force energy and your health will replenish slowly over time, given that you don't use force or don't take any damage. Anyway, here is the color crystal of the level, and it's green. So, and it explains there, by changing, you can press 1 or 2 to enter the menu, which I already explained. And this is where you go into lightsabers and colors up top. The bottom are power crystals, and by default you get Ilum. I hear it both ways, so I'm not entirely sure which way it is anymore, but anyway, this is default, you have 2, all the others you have 1, and the fact that they do it this way is a bit double-sided because people against it are like the people who want the same ability for both, like, as you'll see, like, increased damage, but for the people who are for it, you have 2 different abilities, so that's really cool. Anyway, you can also upgrade Force from here, as I already mentioned, so I will upgrade Lightning right now. And for the walkthrough, in terms of lightsaber color, I will be keeping both lightsabers the same. There are 2 exceptions to this, which are you leave a comment requesting a color combination, and there will be more as the game progresses, don't worry. I also, if you decide to leave a comment, I am asking for the lightsaber colors in addition to what hand, because sometimes you can have the same color combination, but when it's in, but when you set it up one way, it looks really cool, and sometimes if you set it up the other way, it just looks weird. So, yeah, the only other exception to this rule, actually, I don't think I got to that yet. Anyway, I will be keeping these monotonous, unless you comment otherwise, and as soon as I get color crystals, I will be using them until I get the next crystal. The exception to this, the exceptions to this, again, going back to the comments, if you want to see something different, or the final level, I'm going to use my favorite lightsaber color, because as you will see much later, it gets very confusing as to about where you are. So, for mine being, like, really completely different from everybody else, it's very noticeable. Anyway, here you will encounter your first Bacta tank, and that increases your overall health. And the game does this really well. Like, they put stuff right in your way so they can do a tutorial on it. But then again, what modern game doesn't? So, another one of these diamonds, just zap the switch, go through. Get ready to block if you remember, because you will immediately get shot at by stormtroopers. And speaking of enemies, I will not concern myself too much with enemy names. Like, ones that are obvious, I will use over and over again. But there are some that are, I want to say, less known. And I really won't bother trying to figure the names of those out. Anyway, here you will encounter a first scene that is actually interactive. outside of the skip option. Anyway, it's some sort of lock often, like force or lightsabers. And these occur fairly often, so... Anyway, there's a meter there. You just need to shake the Wii Remote and the nunchuck. And it really doesn't have to be this ridiculous, quick thing. It can... I was doing it very lightly there. And I've seen some people, and they're shaking it like mad, and it only fills up. It's either filling up or going down. So as long as you're doing it enough, you're fine. And if you're knocked down, you can quickly shake both the Wii Remote and the nunchuck. They actually don't mention this until later. But you can shake the Wii Remote and the nunchuck to get back up with a recovery attack. So if any enemies are still like around you after they knock you down, then you can get back at them very quickly. So defeat these stormtroopers, but whatever you do, do not enter that elevator. There's one thing we can do first. So jump off to the right, and these first few jumps can be a bit tough. Okay, that was just sad. Anyway, these platforms slowly rise until you get to the top, and here is your first power crystal. The Robot Power Crystal, I believe it's pronounced. So I will equip that to my right as it deals increased damage, and I am just, you know, right-handed. At this time, I will also... Actually, I'll wait on that. I was going to upgrade a Force Power, but I really wanted to upgrade Push, and I don't have enough XP for it. Anyway, once you have collected the Power Crystal, enter the elevator, and it will take you to the final leg of this level. And it begins with you learning a force ability, basically dash. And the fun part about this is you can use it to knock enemies basically over the edge. You still get XP for it, but your combo meter will not build up because that only builds up when you use lightsaber attacks. And enough of them as well. Or anything with the lightsaber, really. Like, it began to build up there because I was reflecting a lot. So anyway, zap these two, and that will allow the bridge to pop out. If you want to make your journey quicker, you can always dash, but keep in mind that does take up force energy. Anyway. This should be the final leg of the journey. For the first level, anyway. Dispatch this final wave of enemies. And I will see you in the next video.